Hello everyone. Today is going to be a little bit of a different video from the videos that I normally do. A lot lately I've had different people asking me, "Oh, how did you become a better anti-chess player? What steps did you take and what how did you learn more about the game and how did you improve?" And I always have a couple answers, but I figured the best way for me to try and help was to make a series on going right from the basics, right from the rules and everything like that, extreme basics, into hopefully building the series into helping people become stronger anti-chess players. My goal is that anyone who watches this series will eventually hit 2,000 rating in anti-chess. That's the main goal. I hope maybe I'm hoping that each episode should help someone out, probably by 100 rating points or something like that. And so yeah. Today we're going to be focusing. This is part one of sort of the anti-chess learning series. Many of you will know many of these things, so it might not help a ton of people. But for the people who are just learning or just getting into the game and are excited about learning, this video is directed towards you. And so hopefully I can do my best and help you out during this. And so the first thing we'll go over today's sort of episode will be about just how the basic rules, how to win, how pieces move, what's different between this and standard chess, and and just the general, like a very brief history in case anyone's interested in and the basic rules. So first thing I'm going to go over. Oh, and by the way, I did make a study for this on Lichess, so I'm going to put that in the description if you wanna go through every chapter that I'm taking you through right now. It will be in the description. You can go access it anytime after I release this video. It will become completely public. And so yeah, so let's get started. The first thing I'm going to be going over is piece movements and just how they move differently in the same as in standard chess. All the pieces basically move the same. So for people who do play standard chess, pawn can move one square forward off the start. It captures sideways, and the pawn can also move two squares off the start, but only one after it moves two squares. Queens can move in any direction, as many squares as it wants, so diagonally, forward, backward, etc. So the queen can move here, that queen can move there. The knights move in L shapes, so sort of like this, so 1, 2, or 2, 1, sort of like that. And they can also move over top of pieces. So in this case, I can play knight h3 and knight h6, so like this and this. And if we move a couple more pieces, you can see that the bishops they move diagonally in any direction, as many squares as possible. So I can move here and here. What the first difference I will bring up between anti-chess and standard chess is there's no castling, so I can't move my king over here. And in regular chess, my king could move there and my rook could move there at the same time. But in this, there's no castling, so I'd have to move my king like this and like this. And other than that, just the final thing that's the same in anti-chess and standard chess is en passant, which for those of you who don't know, if I have a pawn on this rank, um, and um, and and black moves the pawn two squares up, I can capture it like this en passant. I would suggest looking up that rule. Other than that, I would also suggest for those of you who are just getting into it to get used to coordinates, because in all these videos I'm going to be using coordinates. So the columns are labeled A to H from White's perspective and 1 to 8 on the rows for from White's perspective. So I would just get used to as well as you can. For example, like e3, e5, queen e2, queen e7, knight h3, knight h6. I would just get used to recognizing those, because it will help you a lot. And when you're discussing it with other people, or whether you're listening to me make a video, it will always be handy to do. To recognize it very fast, because if I'm explaining an opening and I'm saying we're doing the Liardit defense and I'm going to be explaining e3 b6 bishop a6, then you need to, like, I don't know, it's much easier if you just know the coordinates in your head. So I would suggest getting familiar with those. And there's a ton of things online for standard chess and stuff like that. I know Lichess does have certain things like that. There's a drop down bar that says coordinates, and so you can get used to that very quickly. I'm going to move on. Chapter 2 is sort of about kings. Kings in anti-chess do not have royal status. They are the exact same as any other piece. Losing your king does not mean losing the game. And you can have multiple kings on the board. As you see, I already have two kings. And kings are just like any other piece. So in anti-chess, when you're trying to, the goal of the game is to lose all your pieces. I can give up my king like this, and the rook can take it. It does not mean anything. It's just the king is just like any other piece, and because it's just like any other piece, if I want to promote a pawn, I can promote it to king, and often this is useful in certain end games, in certain times. So yeah, I would. So kings are just like any other piece, and that's just important to know. And going on, so the basic rules of anti-chess, it's to lose all of your pieces before your opponent does, or to get stalemated, which we will visit later. However, the most important thing in my mind that separates it from standard chess is capturing is compulsory, or if you are presented with a capture, you must capture. So it's forced capture. For example, if play e3 and my opponent plays b5, I have to capture this. I have no other move. This is my only move. And if my opponent, because my opponent does not have to capture me, if my opponent plays e6, then this is my only move again. I have to capture there. My opponent now, as you can see, has 4 different ways can capture. Can capture with the king, can capture with the queen, can capture with the bishop or the knight. In this case, queen is easily losing. A human could solve queen losing. Queen capturing. King capturing is no strong, and knight and bishop are both fairly strong. Say bishop is captured, now I can move any of my pieces because I do not have to capture. Say I play b4, now black has to capture this piece, and if I play a4 now, black has to capture. Black has a choice. Black can capture either piece. It does not matter, just black has to capture if black can capture. So for example, if captures here, then I have to recapture here. Now black has 2 different captures again. Say black captures here. Now I have 5 different captures. Doesn't matter which one I choose, just as long as I do capture. So say I capture with the bishop, then black has to capture with the queen. And then I have another, I should put, oh shoot. I should put that arrow like that. Now I have another 4 captures. Say I capture with the king. Um, uh, and now black does not have to capture anything, so black is free to move, but then I have to capture, and if black plays rook d8, I have 2 different captures if I capture here. Now black has 2 different captures, has to choose one or the other, and if I capture here, now I have 3, and say I capture and capture. That's it. It seems like a lot, but it's really not. If you can take a piece, you just have to take it, and if there's multiple choices, then you can choose which one. So we'll be going on different ways to win now in anti-chess. One misconception which I will be going over in the second video of this series is having more like giving up all your pieces early in the game does not necessarily mean winning. So basically the goal of the game is to lose all of your pieces before your opponent does. So for example, in this case, if it's a white move, you'll also notice throughout the series I'll give you certain puzzles and certain things like that. But if you want to try to find white is actually winning here, white can win in 5 moves. If you want to see how you can give up all your pieces in 5 moves, take a moment to pause the video and do so. And then once your video is unpaused, you will see now that after giving away this knight, and then the rook on e4, and then the bishop on d3, then you just give away your queen, and white wins in this case because white has no pieces left, and black still does have a piece left. So white wins by the anti-chess variant rule. Another thing to add is if you're playing a time game, so with time, say you have an initial start time of 1 second and 2 seconds for each move. If at any time you run out of time, it's an automatic loss. So time management is another thing we'll be going over in a different video, but it's just something to keep in mind if you want to start playing that. Time management is very important. The first way to win is by losing all your pieces. Second way to win is if your opponent runs out of time. The third way to win is a little bit different. It's if you become stalemated or you cannot move, then that side wins by variant rule. For example, in this position, black pawns are moving down, white pawns are moving up. If it's white's move and white plays here, and then black has nothing to do, black cannot make white capture anyway. Say black plays king c6. White wins because white cannot move. Black has prevented white from moving. In this case, in anti-chess, white is declared a winner by a variant rule. So doing this is a little bit of a tricky puzzle, but I thought I'd just add it in because I love it so much. It is white's turn to move, and you can take a second to pause. But does white win or lose in this position? You can take a minute to pause. The correct answer is white loses this position. The reason why is, say white starts with e4, then black can choose to move 1 space forward, and after white moves, white's only option is to move 1 space forward. then black cannot move, therefore black wins. And if we go back, if white chooses to move one space this time, then black can match it by moving two spaces. After white moves, black cannot move once again, and therefore black wins by variant rule. So in this position, black is actually the winner, because no matter what white plays, black can match it with the opposite move and then end up not being able to move. So in that case, black wins. The final basic rule we'll be going over is a drawn game. So this is not a win or a loss for either side. It's just when both sides, neither side is winning, it is completely a draw. For example, in a king versus king endgame, uh, there's no chance for either side to win unless your opponent's low on time or something like that. But for example, king e7, king e4, there's nothing to do, because if the king ever moves one square closer, then the king can sacrifice itself and you can take it. So in this case, the kings can move back and forth all they want, but one king cannot get any closer to the other because they'll just be able to sacrifice immediately. Say we move back and then king c4, there's really nothing to do. The king can move here. Obviously, it's not moving any closer. If I move my king here, and king moves here, it's just the kings can't get any closer. Therefore, this game is a draw. That means neither side wins. Another way is by threefold repetition, which is just the same thing as in normal chess. The same board repeats 3 times in a row. So if black moves here and then white moves there, and they both keep moving back and forth, it's a draw by repetition or a repeated board. So that's about it. Another example of a draw, for example, say in this case, white doesn't have to move here, or white does have to move, but white doesn't have to make this move specifically. But say white moves d7 after the bishop captures, plays h3. This bishop captures. This game is a draw because this bishop's on a light square, this bishop's on a dark square, and because they only move diagonally, one will not be able to capture the other. So this game is a draw by variant rule, just because no piece will ever be able to capture each other. So it's an automatic draw. Other than that, a brief history. The reason anti-chess sort of became a little popular, I know a long time ago, I want to say 1800s, there was an Athenian king. I think it goes by the name of Codrus, Codrus, and Codrus basically sacrificed his life for all of his people. I forget the exact specifics, but it was in the case where this one side of a war wouldn't stop fighting until the king was dead, and the king, knowing that he didn't want all of his people to die, ended up sacrificing himself and got killed by the enemies purposefully, so that they wouldn't go after his people anymore. Anyways, that's sort of how anti-chess was born. However, at the time it was called the Codrus game, and in that game it was lose your king and you win the game. And so, but as you see, anti-chess has evolved, and now it's and there's different variants of anti-chess, even like giveaway chess, losers chess, where kings have different power. But in anti-chess, kings are just like any other piece, and it's just about losing all your pieces first. And other than that, world championships for anti-chess have been going on for a decent amount of time now. There was one anti-chess world championship in 2001 where the winner was Tim Remmel from the Netherlands. Runner-up was Fabrice Liardet from Switzerland, and then after that there wasn't, and that was in person actually. But after that, there wasn't an Antichess World Championship until 2018, where on Lichess, because Lichess hosts Antichess, there was a World Championship, and there has been ever since. So 2018 and 2019, 2021 actually, when this video is released, will be coming up in a couple days. So I'll put a link in the description to the person who's hosting it. I'm going to be commentating with Antichess Grandmaster, the Unknown Guy Reborn, who I just made a video with, interviewing him on fast time control. This year, the two candidates for playing for the World Championship are Pepsi and Gaming and Grohachi Grom. And the 2 previous years before that, the world champion was Arima Cat from Serbia, and Ogil 1 was the runner-up both times from Turkey. But anyways, I hope you really enjoyed this video. I hope it helped some people out there who are just trying to learn the game and just trying to get into it. I'm going to continue the series as much as I can, and this was just a really basic sort of light introduction, and hopefully next time we can get into some more ideas. I know throughout the series I'm hoping to go through openings, different concepts, different tactics, what to look for, important ideas. And other than that, thank you so much for watching, and have a great rest of your day.